The time is 7 p.m. on May 15th, 2025, and I will call this meeting of the Cecil Township Planning Commission to order. First item of business is the approval minutes from April 17th, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Yes.
Any notes, comments, questions, suggestions?
None here.
I'm fine.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 17th, 2025 meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Review of previous decisions. Are there any decisions that we should be aware of? Not just that we have already decided on, but anything that is possibly coming up on the supervisor's agenda that we should be aware of for them.
Later in the agenda, we are going to talk about MUC off of Morganza Road, but that's more discussion. Dan, can you remember anything that is pertinent?
No, we just had one plan on the agenda that was at one point from last month. Which one was that? Subdivision plan from last month?
Yeah.
It was a Koski one, wasn't it? I think it was Koski's property, wasn't it? Wasn't it
Koski and his
Koski's
plan too?
property over there off of Burnside?
Yes. Yeah, the Kosky plan. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Go through that just to make sure. Discussed Alto.
Oh, alto
Piano.
piano as well, yeah.
Then there's the Kosky use plan. So. Yeah, there was another one. I forgot which one it was. Okay. And Ordinance 6, 2025 passed. I'm not sure that Planning Commission had much say in that one. Dealt with vehicles and traffic up on Wildwood Drive area. So.
Okay, any other old business we need to talk about, discuss?
I don't have anything.
Okay. New business. Application 2025-0006, Lisinski Plan 2. This is R2 medium density residential zoning. Dan, is there anything that you want to share with us on this that you haven't already?
I
And
just asked that the surveyor present the plan and tell the planning commission what you're planning to do in this project. Do you mind coming up to the microphone and introduce yourself?
That,
All right, what we've done is we've already taken this in and recorded it as a subdivision, and now they want to spin the back part of a lot off and have it buildable for another person to move on to this back parcel. So in other words, we're going to be adding lot 2 to it.
let me zoom in a little bit. There's lot 2 right there.
Yes. And then we're hoping to vacate the back portion of a lot so that we can, increase the, there's a unopened road in the back there. Bishop Road right here, they want to have this abandoned, and that way we can get the additional 5 foot, build a house the size they want to build and put in their proper setbacks. This area right here was vacated, this street was, but we're going to be putting this back in as a private access to lot 2, so it's not a landlocked parcel.
A little better.
Any questions?
So we issued a letter on April 28th, and Mr. Hummel responded on May 8th with revised plans. The only two issues that I still have and I'm not aware of and I was trying to get answered is regarding, so the rule related to like an unopened right-of-way, like that portion of Bishop Alley. So after 21 years, typically if something is unopened and undedicated, the applicant would be able to file for, we'll say, a quitclaim deed for a portion of that unopened alley. In this case, what I believe Mr. Hummel was asking the township to do, and I was trying to confirm, he hasn't asked Jack or hasn't asked the manager or I've not seen anybody talk about this yet. And again, I'm not here to say that we can't do this, but that portion of the alley, the township, in order to make sure that the title is clear on it, technically the township would vacate it. I don't know if they need to hold a public hearing related to the vacation of that. I'm not sure how that has to happen. Everybody does it a little bit differently. And then once they'd vacate it, then you'd have to file for a quitclaim deed, right? And then it could become a part of this property. So we've not followed through that process yet, nor is that established, but we got a plan in front of us that reflects that it's already happened, if that makes sense. Okay? So that's one issue that's still out there. And then the second issue related to Sylvan Drive and the reestablishing that, they are permitted to do a flag lot. We'll call this a flag lot because the pole is Sylvan Drive. As you can see it's going to come up to lot number 2. There's no problem. You can do up to 5 lots off a private road in Cecil Township, so there's not a problem with this. I just pointed out to Mr. Hummel, and I said in my letter that it's a lot 2 it's landlocked and it's a private street must be established. So he's shown pictorially that that's a private street, but I believe that this should be called out as like a right-of-way for ingress, egress, regress, and utilities, something to that effect. And then we need to put a note on the plan. There's some, if you go into section 614 of the UDO, there's a whole section related to private streets, and it says within there what notes you have to add to the plan regarding a private street, so that whoever buys this lot is given notice that they are buying on a private street. They don't expect the township to deal with it. And then there's supposed to be a cooperative maintenance agreement established. And I realize it's all the same property owner right now, but if they sell the property, that's the reason for those things to occur. So we just need to get that issue cleaned up. So that's 2 little complications related to this one.
Would it be acceptable to table the application until those are addressed before subdividing for lot 2, or contingent with?
Mark, I just got a text back from the manager and nothing is happening on that issue. You may have talked to him, but he's acting like he was waiting on something.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is you put into writing that you want the portion that you want to be vacated, give them plan for that. And if you get that in quickly enough, the supervisors could possibly hear it at their June 2nd meeting, Jack?
That's June 2nd, yes.
And then the planning commission could then feel comfortable to take action on the plan at that point, because it's like the cart coming before the horse. We should have probably done the vacation first. I apologize for nobody telling you that, but that's what I would suggest.
The planning commission meeting is later that month, so
Well, it depends on, I don't know what your client's looking for. I mean, to me, the cleanest thing to do would be the township just to put something on their agenda that they are vacating any rights that they would have. So I think we still should do that. Dawn's saying we can't vacate something that we never took. But some title attorneys, you work with attorneys, they would tell you that the township still has rights in there should be some action. So to get clean title, I don't know, we need an ordinance, but it could be at least a resolution by the township that they vacate any rights. So I think get a letter to him. He can review with the solicitor. We can get it on the agenda in June. Do that step first, come back here one more time, and then we'll get it done.
There's no way we could have it a contingency on that happening? Approve of the plan?
Well, the only problem that I don't know is, I'm not legal counsel. We don't have our solicitor here. I don't know what the solicitor is going to say, what we should do. Dawn and I play lawyer sometimes, but we're usually wrong. So I'd prefer to talk to Gretchen. We've done other vacations in the township, but it's usually an action that's on the agenda, and we just state that we just did it on Augie Pass's property. And we didn't build a road, or we never accepted it, but we still abandoned it because it was going right through the building. And in this case, like I say, I just think it's better to do it that way. It's just we're going to hit the supervisors with this in the head, and I suggest we take the steps. It's up to the planning commission. If you guys want to wait, if you want to approve a contingent upon those items, again, that's not my call. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I don't think they would have issue with it based upon what Don's saying. His opinion was we have nothing to, but
Well, and the vacation would potentially happen in June,
all right,
but approval wouldn't happen by the supervisors until July.
correct. Potentially they could vacate it and approve the plan in the same meeting, take one action first and the second action. Did they, Mark, do they have this lot sold, or are they starting to?
Well, it's their son, yeah.
Are you planning to start construction this summer?
Yeah, so my son's gonna build a house
Okay,
on the lot. So when we did the vacation, so we did the vacation for the
Sylvan Drive.
Sylvan Drive part. We just had I think Mark wrote up a legal description of it. I think my attorney sent something to Gretchen, a quit claim, and it got approved, and he kind of just drew it into the plans. Didn't need to go to the Board of Supervisors, as I recall.
I don't remember on this one either, but did we do this?
Gretchen approved it. 'Cause
Okay,
really,
but-
the township never claimed it, so it's kind of a weird thing.
Well, but I think the same thing needs to be done. Then we should follow the same process on Bishop Alley.
We could do the description, and I could ask Jana to shoot that quit claim to Gretchen, and I think she just approved it. I know it didn't go to the board because we didn't have to wait on it. It happened like immediately.
Right, because the plan says vacation by Cecil Township. And we haven't taken that action.
But you never claimed it either, so it's kind of strange.
Correct, yeah, we haven't claimed it, we haven't taken it either.
So it's really, but we need to do the deed right. Someone has to sign off on it. And I think Gretchen did it last time. She just did it. We don't want it. We have no claims. We have no intention to claim it. So
Well, I think the planning commission's question is, are you under a time constraint that you're gonna start something right away if we don't approve this?
we wanted to start in June if it was possible.
Okay,
Hoping to get going. We want to get things wrapped up under the winter. So another month is gonna put us in. We started our house in about June, and it worked out perfect. But it's only 5 feet of ground. I would hope we could just do a contingency. We'll take care of it with Gretchen letter and another thing. That happened like immediately.
It's actually 10 foot on each side of the property line.
10 foot on each side, okay.
It's a 20-foot alley.
20-foot alley, so the other 10 feet is not ours, but we're looking for the 10 feet adjacent to the property.
so if
So
you
my
can,
question to the planning board is, do you want me to write a description for the Lisinskis, that vacation, and then write one for the other side? Because that typically is what happens when you vacate one side, you do the other side.
again, we've not been made that request, I would just deal with your own.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation, don't muddy the waters.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. And if you can get Gretchen to do a quitclaim deed and then there's no action required under the supervisors just to approve it, and if you have an instrument number for that quitclaim deed, you just show it,
Correct.
you show it on the plan that goes in front of the supervisors, then we have no
Well,
vacation
It can even be
required.
a resolution number. It doesn't necessarily need to be a quitclaim. It can be a resolution number I could put on there. It was the resolution for Cecil Township. I've done that before.
I understand, but what we're trying to do is fast track this for your client.
All right.
So if he's gonna get a quitclaim deed, you would record that deed, right?
Yes.
It would have an instrument number. You put that instrument number on this plan, and then it requires no action by the board other than to approve the plan. I mean, I think if Gretchen did that before, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we
That's-
can do the same thing again, follow the same.
Yeah.
same
And Dawn's confirming that. Dawn Janus is confirming that via text with me, so I don't have a problem. Other than that, I will just need some notes on the private road, like I said. You have to read through that stuff. It'd be subject to the private road comments.
Hey, Dan.
Yes, sir.
So this road that they're gonna, well, that they say Cecil has, but they're gonna vacate, and half of it's on their property, half of it's on somebody else's property. How do you do it when it splits the property like that?
They get a quitclaim deed for their 10 feet.
Okay.
Because nobody took action on that within 21 years,
Okay.
they can have their attorney file a quitclaim deed, and then it's done.
Okay. And no matter what we do, they can't do anything until the board of supervisors approves.
They just have to approve the plan at that point.
Right.
So if the quitclaim deed is in place and we have the instrument number on this plan prior to the supervisors meeting,
Correct.
the supervisors would be able to approve this subdivision.
Right.
So I would say, what I am comfortable doing is saying that I will approve, or I can make a motion to approve this contingent upon an accurate instrument number of a quitclaim deed being filed in place on the plan prior to supervisor's approval.
June 2nd. I buy that.
If the instrument number isn't on the plan, I would not recommend it for approval. I
We wouldn't
recommend
let
to
it go
table
on the agenda.
Yeah,
Right.
You're just making a recommendation
Yeah.
for approval based upon those items being completed.
yes.
Yeah.
So if that can be addressed prior to the meeting,
In addition to adding the private road notes like we talked about.
yes.
All
Okay.
the other comments.
So there were several items that were addressed from the April 28th letter. There were still a couple, this being one of them, as far as the quitclaim deed is concerned. So any items that have not yet been addressed from the April 28th letter from Gateway Engineers would need to be addressed. I will make a motion to approve application 2025-0006, Lisinski Plan 2, contingent on an instrument number from a quitclaim deed being executed and on the plan, along with any private road notes that are required from the April 28th, 2025 letter from Gateway Engineers, and any other items that may not be addressed administratively or otherwise from that letter. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Next is application 2025-0007, Steeltown PRD Phase 1 subdivision from Keystone 76 Development 2. Dan, what would you like to share on this one?
I think Bob is here from PV Scheffler to give a presentation to the planning commission. You've seen this plan before. It was approved as a preliminary PRD. The next step in the process is the final PRD approval tonight and approval of the Phase 1 plan of lots is the proposal. So I think Bob can give you a presentation on what the final engineering looks like this. The basic layout and everything conforms to the current approved PRD plan. This is just the final engineering related to development of the property.
Thanks, Dan.
Wrong municipality.
I was like, oh, that looks like so.
So this is the Cecil Town PRD. You've obviously seen this before. We went through preliminary PRD approval. We're back here tonight to ask for final PRD approval and also overall land development approval and phase one approval. Nothing's changed with this plan since you saw it last time. Same number of units, same roads, same storm system. If you like, I can kind of run down the bullet points again. For storm basins to collect storm water. We have some extra parking areas added, sidewalks on both streets. We have a mailbox cluster area. And I would like to point out too, the area here is going to remain all forested, undisturbed. In addition to that, we have, of course, the buffer around the perimeter. Again, nothing's changed with this. The supervisors have seen this several times. Of course, we're working with Gateway Engineering on the design. That's where we're at on this, and I hope we'd be able to keep this moving forward as a fast track project.
Bob, can you describe the phasing of the plan?
Yes, 2 phases. First phase is the townhomes and 42 towns and 40 singles. And the reason we broke it up that way is just for connectivity of the sanitary system. Phase 2 will be this area in here.
So phase 2 is the townhouses in the area to the right,
Phase 1 is the 42 towns,
42 towns, okay.
and then the singles over here.
And the singles to the left side of Cowden Road?
Correct.
Okay. And all of the area outside of the red lines is open space, correct?
Correct.
And what would you say, like the closest distance to the trail is, like up there at that pinch point where the water course comes down there? How close?
Here?
Are you to, like right at the apex of the curve, come down a little bit further where the stream is right there. That looks to be like the shortest distance to the trail.
Of course, we have the power easement through here.
Understood. So you're working just on your side, just down to the power easement?
Correct.
Okay, so what's roughly that distance? Is that 100 feet?
Yeah, I would say so.
Roughly, I mean, it looks like maybe at least 2 right-of-ways in terms of distance.
Yeah.
And then it just gets bigger from there?
Correct.
Okay, and then all on the right-hand side of the plan, all the trees will remain.
Correct.
So the impact visually to the park is you're going to probably see that slope on the left-hand side, correct?
I mean, there's a good bit of wooded area here, you know?
Yeah, but still you're
Yeah,
up,
possibly here, yeah.
you're up higher.
Yes.
Okay. So stormwater-wise, you've divided this into 4 different basins.
Correct.
It looks like at least the first 2 are going right into natural water courses, the one on the right
Yep.
and the one on the left. The one up nearest Coomer Road, is that going to tie into a storm sewer?
Yeah, this one over here also ties into the storm sewer.
Okay. And, okay. Sidewalks, where the sidewalks going to be on the plan? Are they,
Sidewalks both sides of the streets?
oh, both sides, okay.
This might be a silly question, but is the mailbox where you have it to the left of Cowden, is that for the townhomes as well?
Yes. Generally, a community like this, I think the post office probably prefers one stop. You know, of course, I understand your point. Do have some extra parking over in that area. If that's something that you would recommend, I think it wouldn't be a big deal.
I would just think safety-wise, not having everybody cross and run.
Windsor Woods, they did the same application of 2 parallel spaces to that with a pull-up, and it's, I don't know, Jack, have you had any complaints? Not enough spaces up there?
No, not in Windsor Woods.
Yeah, just a point of reference.
So my question is there's no visitor parking at all on the side where Town Drive is? On that side? Oh, that side over there.
Only on this side, correct.
And we put one off of Cowden Road. So they're literally gonna pull off of Cowden Road to park.
Well, we have 10 spaces on Calvin Road.
Yeah.
Overflow.
For overflow for that side, but where is the people that have overflow on the other side gonna go? Because you're not allowed, am I correct, Dan? You're usually not allowed to park where the mailboxes are because those are usually reserved for people to pull in and pick up their mail.
No, I would agree, but so I know the supervisors prefer to have extra parking, especially where it relates to multifamily, like the townhouses, which they've done. But on single family, Bob, you want to explain a little bit more? I mean, those driveways appear pretty long, right? So we'll be
Yeah.
able to park,
Full-size vehicles in those driveways.
you have 2 in the driveway.
How many?
And then 2 in the garage.
2 in the driveway?
And 2 in the garage.
The houses all have 2 car garages, and they're all double width out to the street. So there's the 30-foot, the 25 or 30-foot building line plus the right-of-way. So there's more than enough for 4 cars in front of each driveway. So
You have about 13 feet plus the 30, right? So that's, well, the 30 is going to control 30 off of the right-of-way line, right?
right.
So actually, from the paved back of the curbs, about 13 feet away from the right-of-way line.
Right.
That's 13 feet. And then we have an additional, is it a 30-foot setback on the single families? 25? So 13 plus, so there'll be 38 foot of paving till you touch the house.
Right.
Is my point. So what we're saying is you could easily park 2 cars in the driveway. And that's been the typical standard on the latest PRDs. And again, we don't want to build a testament to parking lots either. That's what happened at Lynn Foltz's plan over there on Mayview Road. What's that one? It's all townhouses. Not Mayview Road, on Morganza Road.
I was going to say, yeah. My question's on the stormwater. Dan, you had in a comment letter on May 15th that the point of interest number 1 and number 2 did not meet the 70% release rate requirement. Is that going to require making the basins bigger? Does that affect what they have on the plan at all related to stormwater? I know it was a concern of the residents related to runoff heading down the hill and making sure that we have adequate room in the basin to store.
We did a quick analysis. I think what happened, actually, we do meet the requirements. I think in our report, we had some duplication in certain areas. So it was actually more conservative. So we need to go back and revise our report
Okay.
to reflect that more clearly.
Yeah. My sensitivity is just we want to make sure that, and again, I see the multiple basins, and I think that's good because you're breaking up the drainage areas, but we want to make real sure that we don't have runoff heading down the hill into the trail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the trail has a little bit of bit of leverage on this one because they need a license agreement to bring the sanitary sewer across the trail.
Okay.
So my understanding is you and the developer have been in touch with the trail?
Correct.
we met with them last week and walked the trail and looked at our site where we're boring underneath the trail. We also addressed where our ponds were and how they came down. And we're
Okay. Bob, have you guys done any sort of analysis? I know you're not changing anything here, but are those pipes that are under the trail, have you at least looked at those? Are they undersized,
That is under
oversized?
review, correct.
What's that?
That is under review, correct. We are reviewing that.
Okay. Is that part of what they asked for?
Know that they asked for it.
Excuse me, they did ask us.
Can you
to
tell us
look-
what your name is, please?
Carrington, I'm part of the development team with
Okay.
Chris.
Thank you.
We did walk down to the right side on that pond and looked at that very deep depression where the pipe goes under, and there was some debris on the pipe, and they asked if we could clean that out for them. The rest of the people on the committee said, wait a minute, we had Traco on the trail this week doing something, we don't want them to mess with that. That's something they can just clear off the debris and open the pipe ups.
So those pipes are actually very deep under the trail, and there's like a pond already behind them.
Right, there's.
The
room-
trail acts like a dam.
Correct.
Okay. But Bob, you say you're just checking those out to make sure.
Correct. And keep in mind with the basins, you know, we should be discharging obviously less water.
Well, it's 70% rate.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make sure that they were accurately sized. If he said that they didn't meet the requirement, if you say that they were conservative and redundant and there was not so much an error in the calculations, but that they met that, so that there wasn't a chance to have more water damming up behind the trail.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a letter dated today. I was waiting because they were revising some of the stormwater, and I'm sure we can get this clarified. Most of my comments, especially related to the recorded plan and some of the additional items, are just, I'll call them housekeeping notes that I like to get on all the plans when we approve them, and just so we have some clearly identify some things. But you know, most part it was a complete, it was a complete submission, there's no question about it. And I would have no problem with, dealing with these before we get to the supervisor's level. This plan fell behind a month. They're already in for their NPDS permit, a couple months ago?
Correct.
So this fell behind just in terms of how it was entitled. And Dick, you want to still get it under construction this year?
Well, it depends on getting the approvals and getting the NPDS permit. And then if we can, we'd like to start in September, October, normally the drier months, so that we can get part of phase one.
So you want to start this year?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. And we'll have to give a consistency letter to related to, we owe you a consistency letter for stormwater, right? It's at some point when we're okay with it. Yeah, okay.
I don't have any other questions or thoughts.
It seems like on point 13 that you did make mention of where the townhomes are, that it looks like there's some dotted gray lines, but if that's going to be part of phase one, do you need to have the lot lines completed prior to?
Well, what happens with, typically for townhouses, they'll subdivide the lots and dash the lines, and then they'll do secondary plans once the foundations are as-built, so that you actually put the party walls right along the lines of the as-built structure. And those are approved administratively. That doesn't need to come to a planning commission meeting here. That's how we handle those. So you understood that comment,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you. I was just
Yeah.
making,
And
Making
each
sure I
unit
know.
will be sold to the homeowner as a fee simple separate lot.
Yeah, Dick, but typically when you do townhouses, I know you don't do a lot of townhouses, but when you do the townhouses, you'll as-built the foundation.
Correct.
Then these guys will prepare an as-built plan of the foundation. They'll draw the party lines along those walls at that point, instead of in the original recorded plan.
I've always heard that as a corrective deed, just do
Yeah.
as it is actually built.
It is in essence, but there's a second recorded plan prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So Dan, you said you had a response from them to this May 15th letter then? Is
Yeah,
that what
I
you
mean,
said?
we've talked over the remaining comments.
Okay.
So, but I would still just make, if you were considering this, I would just make it contingent upon our May 15th letter being addressed. That way we have everything covered.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or concerns? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application 2025-0007, Steel Town PRD Phase 1 subdivision contingent upon the Gateway Engineers May 15th, 2025 comment letter.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Next is application 2025-0009, Universal Electric Phase 2 Parking Lot Expansion Site Plan.
Mr. John Howe is here. Speak on it.
Thank you.
Like somebody take the mic.
Good evening. My name is John Heil with Lennon Smith Solar Engineering on behalf of Universal Electric. We're here for a simple site plan approval for a parking lot that the Planning Commission recommended for approval back in 2019. Supervisors approved it. Universal Electric built about 75% of the parking lot and didn't choose to build the last 26 spaces for whatever reason they chose. Now they want them, so they're asking for approval of those last parking spaces so they can finish the lot and continue to operate. So, Universal Electric Building sits on the top here. This is the parking lot that was built in 2019. Has its own stormwater pond. This stormwater pond was originally sized for this. This stormwater pond drains into the main stormwater pond that was built 20 years ago for the original building. So that's the extent of this project. It's very simple. It's just basically a reapproval of something that was right in front of this board.
So we reviewed John's plan, issued a letter dated April 28th, 2025. They've already responded back to the comments. We've just not issued the letter yet, but they've addressed all of our comments related to the plan. And I'm satisfied that they're complete. I think the biggest thing was, John, you guys did do a landscaping plan, right? You added some landscaping.
Most of the landscaping was actually installed
Last time.
last time around.
Okay, great,
Yeah, we did everything except for the pavement.
great.
I feel like I do.
More or less, just a question. The original stormwater basin was sized to accommodate the expanse of the additional parking. I think you said that.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Christy, unless you have.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application 2025-0009, the Universal Electric Phase 2 Parking Lot Expansion Site Plan.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but contingent on completion of Gateway's April 28th comment letter.
Are those all addressed already?
Yeah, they have been, but that's fine. We'll issue a clean letter.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Next is application 2025. Thank you, sir. 0012 Mikulski rezoning request.
I'm driving.
Dan, is there anything you want to add on this?
We did issue a letter. Generally, we have no comment related to rezoning requests. That's strictly a legislative decision of the Board of Supervisors. We just commented that from a planning standpoint, Mr. Mikulski's property now adjoins R2 because the previously approved Steel Town plan, if you saw that plan, Mr. Mikulski's property is located in the corner. I don't know, Jack, if you can call up GIS, either county or townships. Keep going, I think the other way.
That's Whitehorse, so it should be right there.
There, yeah.
So this is,
That's the Steel Town is
Right.
that piece.
and there's Bob Kolsky's property.
So it's R1, it'll be sitting there on its own now. He's requesting the R2. The R2 allows for a different size single-family lot. It also allows for PRD, but this wouldn't be big enough for a PRD. It would just be for some structure. It could be a duplex or maybe a small multifamily building, depending upon how much is there. But I think topographically, Bob, your property's got some topo on it, doesn't it?
Yes, it's,
Pretty steep.
yeah. What we're looking to do possibly down the road is I think another, maybe 10 years. Another 10 years down the road here, when I decide I finally have to hang up my construction business, I was thinking of putting like 3 units on top of my garage for a little bit of rental income, kind of like my 401k retirement part of that. And that's the other, one of the big reasons too, we're the only, since everything else beside us has been rezoned from R1, I guess now to R2, it's almost like we're spot zoned in that one little spot. It would be nice just to be in compliance with Steel City and
Right.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
and then across the trail there, the township building's commercial, so.
So if it gets zoned to R2, what's your acreage, total acreage you have there?
2.2 acres.
Right, okay.
Yep, 2.2.
So you could actually subdivide off, that's plenty of room that they could subdivide off the single family and have a second structure on another lot. Because you couldn't do it all on one
We
lot.
would, but we're not planning on doing that.
Well, you couldn't build separate dwelling, you can't have two separate dwellings on the same lot. So you would have to subdivide.
So I would have to subdivide it if
Yes.
I did that.
Yeah, you can only have, yeah. I don't know, there might be some changes in the zoning by the time you plan to do that for mother-in-law's apartments or something like that. I don't know, but at the present time, you wouldn't be able to. But, I mean, I don't think there's any major implications of rezoning this. It wouldn't be spot zoning it now, it would adjoin other R2.
Because it's across the roads that
Well, all
it's
the,
different zoning, so everything adjoining the property as far as on Glass Hill with Steel Town those two sides of the property that abut Steel Town
Yes,
that's R2.
correct.
So for this to not be its own little R1 island with the roads where they are,
Correct.
it's not spot zoned, but it would be certainly beneficial, I think, to change it to
It would
R2.
just clean up that whole corner, that whole rectangle that Jack's showing on there on the zoning map.
Yeah.
This map hasn't been changed to reflect the R2.
Right.
But that whole corner would all be R2.
Does anybody have any questions, concerns? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application 2025-0012 Mikulski rezoning request, contingent upon the completion of the Gateway's engineers comment letter, May 14th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank
So
you so
Bob,
much.
the next step in the process is that the supervisors would make a decision on holding a public hearing. So you have to, they would set the date of the public hearing, they would hold the public hearing, and then after that, they can approve the zoning. So it has one more step, which is a public hearing. Okay, just so you know that. Yeah, Jack has to post it and has to be advertised, there has to be an ordinance and all that other stuff.
Do we need to be on the agenda at the next?
We'll make sure it's on the agenda for the board to set the public hearing date.
I reached out already to Amanda, who's in charge, works for Paul Mess out there, out in Russell State or whatever. I believe it's being transferred into Paul's name. I don't know if it's already done yet or not, but they won't have any problems, she said. So those are, and I'm sure Chris and Mr. Ho, I'm sure they're not gonna have a issue either.
No, yeah, it's just that's just a legal requirement to post the property.
We appreciate all your help, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Okay, I don't see anything under ordinances and amendments. Is there anything that we need to be aware of, Jack?
You have in front of you an advertisement that is going out on the 19th, and then again on the 26th, because on the 25th, because the 26th is Memorial Day. And notice of hearing, so you know, they did adopt 6 of 2025, and that's waiting to be codified. What the public hearing is on June 2nd deals with the rezoning of the Morganza properties. I call it Morganza property. I think Dan might call it something else, but it's along Morganza Road. And let me get over to that. See if I give you a copy of it. Andy and I were talking a little bit at the beginning, so I want to give her ample time to make her, comments known and show some of her expertise. But notice this is Morganza Road. This is the roundabout. This is Baker Road right here. I've identified the carriage house. Notice I did, in my best handwriting, I put Commonwealth of PA, because that's still Commonwealth property right there. I show you all the C1. I don't know why that the color's washed out on that. So I showed you all C1s. There's still I1 there. But what we're looking at is just these properties right here, okay, in red. Well, actually not the Commonwealth, but the line cuts right through here. So it would be the carriage house, the old, right on the corner of Baker and Morganza, and then several of the properties right next to it. One of the ideas that I want to make sure that everybody is considering is in the comprehensive plan, we talked about increasing commercial properties. This is an opportunity to use the mixed-use commercial designation, and it would fit within the comprehensive plan. What I have on the ad is I have all the parcel numbers listed, and below it is the second part of the ad being where it takes a look at short-term rental uses, et cetera. And as I mentioned, Candy and I had a pretty good discussion before the start of the meeting, and I just want to, welcome those comments if you want to provide them.
Is this on? Oh. Sure. My first question is this proposed draft that we were given is marked as ordinance 6 of 2025, but that's also the Wildwood ordinance. Is that going to be changed then?
Yes, that'll be
Okay.
changed.
Okay. So I guess with regard to the mixed-use commercial first and the rezoning, it's my understanding, based on comments made at the supervisors meeting, that the reason for this rezoning was because the carriage house property owner wished to turn that property into a bed and breakfast. However, if we rezone this to mixed-use commercial, it excludes that right, because currently bed and breakfasts under our ordinances are zoned under R1. In the mixed-use district, you can only use these even if it's put in there, it excludes it. There's no way for him to use it. So we would essentially be taking the zoning that he can currently do and just wiping it out. So I have no problem with the mixed-use commercial. My only problem is it kind of defeats his purpose if that's what he wants to use that property for, if we go in behind him and rezone it mixed-use commercial. The other problem with the mixed-use commercial is these short-term rentals that they want to put in as permitted uses, as well as all these other permitted uses under the mixed-use zoning districts, can only be put in a planned residential development, which this is not. These are single-family homes. This mixed-use commercial ordinance, any of these permitted uses, including the short-term rental that they want to do right now, can only go into a PRD. So no single-family parcel in this township or any housing plan in this township that doesn't have the percentage of the so many garden apartments, townhouses, if they're just strictly a housing plan that just has strictly single-use, single-family homes in them, it's my understanding from reading this, and any of you can correct me if I'm incorrect, but in my reading of this is it states that single-family residential development in a planned residential development only. So that's my other concern. I understand and I get the concept of what the supervisors want to do. We do need more commercial, and this is a good way to do it. But the only problem is this mixed-use commercial ordinance excludes anybody who is in a single-family home on your own property. You can't have a short-term rental. You can't have, you can't use your house for an Airbnb. You can't, that's my two concerns about it, is rezoning his property off of him when he can currently use it, if that's his stated intent for it. And the other problem is this ordinance excludes majority of the township from being able to use their homes as short-term rentals. Do you want to read it?
Sure, I'll read it. So I'll ask a dumb question. Is the Board of Supervisors driving this proposal, or is this coming from the residents or landowners? I'll ask it a different way. How did this originate?
Came through Tom, and he's the one that asked me to put this together for consideration by the board, and that's what the public hearing is on June 2nd, dealing with this rezoning.
And is this part of the recommendations within the approved comprehensive plan?
Yes.
So this exact rezoning?
Tom has stated repeatedly that the thrust of the comprehensive plan was more commercial. And this is a step closer to that more commercial.
Okay, so, but it didn't identify these specific properties as,
Do we have on the website, do we have?
can we look at that to see
the
what they
comp-
had envisioned in the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, and there was, mixed-use commercial was not around, and when,
No, go to the comp plan and there's land use categories.
Yeah,
on there.
I'd like to see that if
Yeah.
it's not too much trouble to call up, Jack.
I think that was at the end. Or somewhere within the,
all right, what
Yeah,
are
or
we,
even just the map.
what are we looking for?
go, within the comprehensive plan, Jack, if you go to the table of contents. There's keep going, a little more.
Doing it.
Plan for tomorrow, future land use.
Future
I think
land
that's
use
page
35, yeah.
Okay,
That's, yeah.
you did say 35.
Keep going, keep going. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. There you go.
There's the map. I don't know if there's a way we can blow that up and figure out where we are,
There you
or
go.
if it's gonna get blobby.
No,
Okay.
no, that should be clear.
Okay.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah, all right, so. There's a picture.
Trying to
We
get
should be
trying to
right.
get my bearings here.
Yep. Let me, all right, that's Rising Road, so that's 980.
You're gonna be keep going down until you're right. Right? I'm sorry. We should be at the county line, right, or pretty close to the county line?
Yeah, this
Almost.
guy,
No, South
You gotta go
Ave.
the other way, you gotta go,
Georgetown area,
okay, 'cause
yeah.
there's Cecil Henderson and Morganza, so it should be right there in the corner.
there's Miller's Run Road right there.
Yeah, right up there where all the loop.
All the gray.
All the
those
gray?
lines, that's where it is.
Yeah, up at the very top up there where the purple is, it's right to the left of that.
Yeah, there you go, right in that, so it's in the orange area, which I think is, so what's on the,
I believe it's R2.
no, if you go to the legend on the map, there should be. a
The
couple-
legend's over to the right.
There you go.
Up.
So orange is
Oh, high
high density residential.
Right, so it wasn't proposed, at least the comprehensive plan, to be commercial. It was envisioned to be residential.
Well, I mean, the mixed-use commercial is mostly residential. It just provides for a variety of housing units. So it's not, it doesn't preclude single family. It allows you some commercial operations in type of a village setting. Mixed-use commercial was more supposed to be for big tracts of land, like the Cowden Farm or Fuchs Farm or something like that, where they could set up a little town center and then have things around it. I don't know the intent here or why we would go for mixed-use commercial here.
Well, let me qualify that a little bit. I know what you're asking, Lauren. It doesn't specifically state in the comprehensive plan that, about mixed-use commercial. But what Tom said is, within the plan was a move to more commercial-type properties. MUC, one of our latest designators, is a good choice for this area. So that would fall under that commercial mixed use, albeit, but it would fall under that commercial umbrella that's stated in the comprehensive plan. It's not land specific, but this is an area that he thought would fit into that category.
What happens if a landowner doesn't want to have their property rezoned?
I think that's gonna be parcel by parcel.
Yeah.
So far,
Well, right now, it's just R1, right?
yeah, it's just R1. That's all R1 up there.
Are all of those properties currently occupied with a residential structure, or some of them vacant?
It is, each one, go back here. Each one of these is listed on the advertisement, those parcels, okay? So if I were to go back to the GIS, each one of them, did I lose it?
What's physically there now, Jack?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
I
asking.
would
Yeah.
love to see that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are there homes there, or there?
There are.
We're making you earn your money, Jack.
This is up against the Endy farm. It does not include the Endy farm.
Right.
Endy's son or relatives own some of that, so
Okay.
let me just put this one in.
Oh, I drive through that roundabout now to avoid as much as Georgetown as I can because it's a pothole mess.
Okay, this is, from the time I was a kid, this was the trail station, or this was the carriage house.
Right.
All right, back in the
Yep.
day when horse and buggy came through, that's where they dropped them off, picked them up, et cetera. All right, so that's the one that on the map points to what I call the carriage house.
Yep.
All right, right next door to it is another single-family home. Mr. Hartman at X is in there.
And he doesn't have, there's no structure on there.
I believe there is. Well,
Doesn't look like it, but it could be clouded by the trees.
0. Hold on, I'm thinking this is the. That's the Endy property I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Mark. I believe there is, and okay. I know who owns it. I don't know if there's a resident. It doesn't look like there's one on there, and I don't believe one has been built recently.
And there's definitely one there.
Yep. And this, I believe, is part of that.
Right.
That's Matt Endy. And that's Endy right
And
there.
then there's the next bigger property,
Right. Does it,
the one to the south.
yeah, that should be Zovax
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. So
That was just sold, wasn't it?
Still in their name. I don't know.
So all of those properties, 3 or 4 of which have physical structures on them, that's what's being proposed to be rezoned.
Correct. Mixed use commercial. As Dan said, there is some residential in there,
Right.
but it's broadening the capability of that property. Now, what I can tell you is our solicitor has already sent letters to these residents, and I believe that was done in April. I have copies of those which I can provide if you're interested. And we have not heard any feedback at this
That
point.
was my next question. Yeah. Okay.
Notice here, this is still Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
Oh,
property.
sure. Yeah.
And so there's Morganza Road right up to the roundabout. We did not go across the street, though there are single-family homes over here as well.
Right.
1, 2, and I believe that's attached to that, and there's 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but designated MUC doesn't make the existing use non-compliant, because you're allowed in the base zoning related to the mixed use. I believe a single-family home is a use by right.
So it would essentially end up being,
It's just more of a add-on type of a thing. They could do more with it they could keep where they are now and they would still be zoning compliant, but they could do more within that MUC. Candy, I'm not sure about the use of the, you know, the rental use, I'm not sure about that. But just the base zoning, their compliance.
You mean they'll stay compliant?
Yeah, even if it was changed to MUC, the single-family house would be allowed there. It doesn't,
Yeah,
we're not like zoning them out.
Well, I understand that, but my problem was under this, the MUC, a bed and breakfast wouldn't be allowed. Because it's already zoned in an R1 under our ordinance.
Well, no, when it becomes an MUR or MUC, that's a new designation of zoning. R1 goes away.
That's what I mean. So under R1 currently, as it sits right now, they can put a bed and breakfast there.
Okay.
Once the MUC comes in, they're not allowed to put a bed and breakfast there because it's no longer an R1 zoning district, was my concern. And my other concern is under the MUC, under the uses by right, it says the uses by right is a single-family residential development and a planned residential development only, which is normally a housing plan, which means none of these would be a housing plan. So then none of these uses by right would apply to them, even if they wanted to put one in.
Yeah, you could take that interpretation. I don't disagree. It does say uses by right, single-family residential development in a planned residential development only. So that's pretty
I mean,
clear.
that was my only, I mean, I
No,
have
no,
no
I
problem,
don't-
you know,
I
I believe we need commercial, but I don't want to, take something away from someone.
Well, that's my biggest concern. As long as they've been sent letters, we haven't heard from them, they're going to maybe participate in the public hearing coming up. We'll know more later. This is just open discussion. We're not being asked to provide any action on this tonight.
No, I'm not sure what action, what I told Tom is we would discuss it tonight.
Okay,
I didn't put it on as an agenda item,
right.
which would require, point us to a vote, but I told him we'd discuss it. And it may come back around
Yeah.
that it becomes an agenda item. We're gonna see how the hearing goes on June 2nd.
I would like it to come back around, see how the hearing goes, see what the current owners of those properties feel,
Okay.
and then we can talk about it again.
Because while they were sent letters, do they understand or are they aware from those letters the interpretation that Candy just shared?
Probably not.
And that's where my concern is, if
Okay.
they have an understanding of that potential interpretation.
What I'll do is I'll provide you with copies of those letters to these individuals. You can see what they were told. And this is from this is from our solicitor's office. Okay, so I'm not sure. I have never met the person that actually sent them, but that's neither here nor there. They're representing us in this. So let me get those to you. You read them over. I think there's 5 of them in total, however many that's on listed here. Well, okay.
Thank you, Jack.
Andy, I'm scrolling through R1 and I'm looking for. I'm sure Tom will call me after this meeting's over, so I need to. I'm gonna tell him watch the video. Roll the tape.
You're looking for what?
No, I'm just looking for what you had mentioned was in R1.
Bed and breakfast?
Yeah, I don't.
240.59.
Oh, that would help. It's in R1.
Yes, it says bed and breakfast establishments shall be considered, special exceptions within R1.
Yeah, so it's not a use by right.
No,
It's a special exception.
but it's not a
Conditional
use at
use.
all under the MUC.
Right. No, agree.
And under the
They-
short-term rental ordinance, it specifically excludes, that they were gonna add to the MUC, specifically excludes bed and breakfast.
They'd have to get a conditional use approval.
So I think the recommendation, you make a good one, is that if they were gonna include that short term, they should include bed and breakfast in
Yeah, but it specifically
the short
excludes
term
it,
and add
yes.
that to the MUC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one or the other, some, you know, I mean, like, I'm not sure what needs to be fixed, but something,
It needs to be
you know,
fixed, yeah.
somehow it needs to be fixed there so that everybody can be
Yeah.
included.
Okay.
Because if, and I don't know the owner of the carriage house, but if they were to want to do that, that of course would be, I think, beneficial to a mixed-use area, to have a bed and breakfast right there, but also to have some other options near it, while also maintaining the view of the area.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that, because if that's something like that in that area and people, it's a destination to go to the cemetery, the Alleghenies, something like that, veterans, you'd want something like that there.
Now, all they need is access to 79 right there, and then they're good to go.
And the traffic light to be fixed.
Well, I think, Jack, I think the thing that, I think Candy brings up another good point, that the the single family being in a PRD,
Yeah.
somehow that'll need to be fixed too. I don't know how we do that, whether that be, if you're under a certain size lot, or you meet the requirement for the lot size that you can have a single family house, something like that. There could be something added in there to just keeping it the way it is for big pieces of ground, but
Yep.
sort of trying to adapt this to smaller pieces, which appears to be what he wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what, you're right. Because we went around Andy's farm, you know, completely.
Yeah.
That was my thought, that this was designed for new development
Big
on a
chunks, you're right.
vacant piece of property, that they're gonna come in and the whole thing is gonna be, I think like Hastings and South Fayette or something is like this,
Right.
where they have like a mini community, you know, but they have stores or dry cleaners or something everywhere located within there. I think that is what it was for, but it just isn't fitting with, you know, you can't really take something new like that and try to put it in someplace else, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there, you might wanna look at it tomorrow, talk to Tom about it. Does a village commercial make any more sense? Like right here that we have along the highway, which is a mix of single family and commercial.
It makes a lot more sense, you know, but anyway, in trying to operationalize what he was talking about, this is what we came up with.
Understood. Yeah, I don't know, that might, maybe throw that one at him, ask him about that too.
Definitely.
I think with the PRD, single families being in a PRD, I think the concern with that when we had discussed it was about lot size. I think that's what that came down to. And I think that was the intent of why we had made any recommendation on that one. But I feel like I just got hit with a brick. I'm going, yeah, you make so much more sense with what you're saying.
My other concern about the, what's allowed under this ordinance, under a PRD, is you're up against an HOA. If they only allow these in a PRD and you have an HOA, they're not gonna allow some of these uses, you know, to come in there, you know, to meet all these requirements, so. But, I mean, I understand, I get their intent, and it's a good intent, it's just not working where,
Well, the solicitor does review HOA documents, so they would make sure that there's nothing contrary in HOA documents before approving them for like a PRD. That's,
yeah, the only thing is like in this, you know, like mixed-use commercial, if that's what they want, and you know, like you take a large property, and they come in with a PRD, they're not gonna want convenience stores or craft stores or, you know, I mean, it's more designed for like a dry cleaner or a bank or a small restaurant or something like that, you know,
yeah.
so.
Second item you have is a map of the 980 corridor between Vincennes / Swihart down to Hansburg Supply, the old John Deere place. That was another area that was suggested to be mixed-use commercial. Unfortunately, an awful lot of homes in there, more than what's on Baker. And, while I told him that I would mention it to everybody, he also said, that's gonna be a problem, probably. There's just, you can see how 980 is just, populated. Granted, on the right-hand side, if you look at the GIS map I have up on the screen right now, on the right-hand side, that's all Cowden property, Elizabeth Cowden. That's 550 acres. Now, on the left-hand side, where Keystone 76 is going is Butch and Valjean Schiffonis. This is Elizabeth Cowden property. That's on the other side of Glass Hill between 980, Vincini, and Glass Hill. Then all of this down to, I believe even there, let me make sure that maybe Schiffoni, CAC Cash, that looks Schiffoni property as well. Whereas this would be Gansberg Supply right here. So, a majority of the right-hand side coming to Cecil Township is Elizabeth Cowden property. So, I just don't see how MUC could even fit into that area, but I wanted to bring it up as it was something was put on the table.
I'm trying to remember, and I cannot for the life of me recall what Elizabeth was stating during the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, particularly regarding this area of property.
Yeah. At one point, I believe she wanted to turn it into a shopping mall area up there. And that would be, in between Muse and Cecil, proper. Then that kind of fell by the wayside. Still being the single tract of land in Cecil Township, there's possibilities. Now, what I will tell you is, somebody mentioned, did it go into Paul Mace's name yet? It has not, but they do want to keep it intact. They want to keep it in the family. I guess they're going to have year-round activity up there. They're going to plant. Somebody's going to come in and plant several rounds of hay, bale it, etc. Then they're going to have it for winter hunting. So, as far as I know, for now, that's going to stay intact for the indefinite future. So, I wanted to present that to you just so you know that this is some of the things that the board is thinking about. Talking to Tom before I got here tonight, he said that turning anything on 980 is going to be a challenge. Excuse me, turning anything into MUC on 980 is going to be a challenge. What do you think, Dan?
Rezoning is always challenging.
Yeah, too many single-family homes there.
Yeah, it's better when it comes from the applicant.
Yeah. So, that's all I have.
Anybody else?
No, thanks, Jack.
Thank you. I would agree with everything you just said regarding this area.
Yep.
And I would just hope that if the property owner of the carriage house does want or does have plans or intent to open a bed and breakfast, that's something that is considered along with single-family homes not only being allowed in PRD.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to it so I get her wording correct, and I'm gonna give Tom a call later tonight.
Okay, perfect. Well, if there is nothing else, it is 8:20. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 8:20. We're adjourned.